If you think Googleyness means being nice, having integrity, and working well with others, you are preparing to interview with Google the wrong way. I'm Nick. I've spent 20 years at Microsoft and Amazon, and I've coached thousands of candidates interviewing at top tech companies, including Google. Google does not hire for good vibes, and these won't help you. They hire for two brutal, counterintuitive traits that most candidates miss. In this video, I'll show you actually what Google measures and how they decide who to hire. Behind the smiling PR image of the term Googleyness, Google is actually evaluating two very specific things: navigating ambiguity and intellectual humility. Let's start with navigating ambiguity. In their interviews, Google will hit you with ambiguous questions by design. And here's what happens when Google removes the "you are here" dot on the map on purpose, when they just take it away. When that happens, candidates start giving soft responses. They start hedging their bets. They sound polite. They avoid conflict. And when all of that happens, the candidate gets rejected without even realizing why. In a moment, I'll roleplay exactly what a strong Google interview answer looks like, but first, let me cover the second pillar, intellectual humility. This pillar trips a completely different candidate. Earlier, you saw candidates fail by being too agreeable. This time, they fail by sticking to their guns and being too argumentative. Most high achievers fight to the death to be right, and they're afraid to admit that they're wrong. And the funny thing is, these candidates often sound smart, but to the Google interviewer, they sound as a no hire, and the candidate loses the interview right then and there. So if Googleyness isn't about being nice or argumentative, how does Google actually decide? Don't bring cookies. Here's how to answer Googleyness correctly. Let's start with navigating ambiguity first. Google is looking for something very specific. Google operates in a world where there's a lot of ambiguity. The specs lack specificity. There's lots of unknowns, lots of threats lurking everywhere. So by design in their interviews, Google removes clarity and builds deliberate constraints of ambiguity, conflicting requirements, and open-ended problems. Okay, let me show you how this works in battle in a real Google interview. Here's a real Google-style interview question. YouTube engagement drops by 5% in emerging markets. What do you do? Here's a failed answer. And before I start, I'll turn on a timer. This is a great question. Thank you. I am not sure how I'm going to proceed here. I will talk to all the stakeholders involved. I'll look at the specs. I will maybe consider that this issue has to do with older phones, or maybe some coverage issues here and there. And I'm not sure though, and I will make certain to meet with all the decision makers and have a few meetings to figure out what might be going on. So notice how it's been almost a minute and I still have not given a decision. That's horrible. So what I would like you to do next is pause this video and, based on everything you know, try to redo this answer in a way that will work at Google. Once you're ready to hear what I have to say, unpause the video and I'll see you there soon. Welcome back. Here's what a successful response looks like. I will come up with 3 reasonable hypotheses. 1, this only impacts Android phones. 2, this drop in engagement means lower time watched per video instead of fewer logins. And 3, this impacts customers in tier 2 and tier 3 cities where the 4G connections are spotty. Then, given all this, I'll come up with 3 metrics to track. 1, latency on the home feed. 2, the drop-off rate and engagement at the 30 seconds mark of each video. And 3, the ratio of safe for online usage. I'll study these metrics deeply to confirm or disprove my hypotheses, and based on the results, I'm gonna consider this issue closed, or I'm gonna move to a different set of hypotheses. So what I just did is use a rule that I call the 3x3 rule for navigating ambiguity. This rule means that you should come up with 3 specific hypotheses and then identify 3 sets of metrics to determine if your hypotheses are the root cause for the problem or not. And then if that doesn't work, identify 3 other ones. So essentially, if you step back, Google's hidden question isn't what's the right answer or how do we fix YouTube's engagement problem in this specific case. Google's hidden question is, can this person produce an answer when none exists? Can this person come up with direction when there's lack of clarity? That's what Google's looking for. All right, that's how you create direction. Now let's shift to intellectual humility and see how Google tests you if you can change direction in addition to creating it. Google's looking for people with conviction, but also for people who are not afraid to change direction when data tells them to do so. And here's another real Google-style interview question, which especially trips up a lot of senior level candidates. Tell me a time when your project failed because of a decision that you made. So here's what a failed answer would sound like. I launched a feature that did not do well, but the reason behind it was because marketing didn't promote it well. And at the same time, the competitors that we had on that feature all dropped their prices suddenly, and we failed. So my learning was that I should work with people who are more serious and take their job as seriously as I do. You know the drill by now. Please, if you're up to the challenge, pause this video, try to produce a successful response, and then when you're ready to hear my answer, unpause the video, and I'll see you then. Welcome back. Here's what a good response sounds like. At my last company, I approved a $200,000 ad spend for a product on TikTok. And I was convinced that this was the right demographic for us to pursue. However, after a couple of weeks, an intern on the team gave me data that while clicks on this campaign were high, the conversion was abysmal. I immediately called a meeting with leadership. I presented them the updated findings. I actually advised to kill the campaign right away, even though I had pitched it for months prior to that. And I publicly thanked the intern in front of everyone in this meeting for saving us $150,000 of our budget that was left. And going forward, I learned to take a look at least 3 other competing data sources to vet my decisions going forward. See what I did here? I came up with a major failure, a cringeworthy failure, not just a minor error in judgment or a small mistake. This was big time. And I also described how I valued the data from a much more junior level person, an intern in this case, and I let the data take precedence over my seniority over that person, over my title, if you will. I effectively showed that I value the best answer over seniority. So in your response to the intellectual humility portion of the Googleyness principle, you should focus on 3 things. 1, describe how you initially strongly pitched and supported an idea. 2, describe how you changed your course and pivoted your action based on data that conflicted the initial course of action. And 3, ideally, if possible, how you credited somebody else, the data or a person who helped you see your mistake and navigate in a different direction. And that's it. Googleyness isn't about being nice, and these still won't help you. And once you see that, you will understand that Google's interviews are not random, and there's a method to the madness. Googleyness is all about 2 things. One is navigating ambiguity, which is creating direction when no clarity exists. And two, intellectual humility, which is changing that direction when you are wrong. Next, you should watch this video here where I show you how to craft your interview response to 5 of the magnificent 7 companies in their interviews. Those companies are Google, Meta, Apple, Tesla, and Nvidia. Watch this video here next, and I'll see you there soon. Good luck.